You had said early on that your career in Boston was as a computer programmer.
Yeah.
I noticed when you were down in Venezuela and places you were working doing scuba diving,
Yeah.
varnishing.
Yeah.
Is the technology just not there for you to be able to work remotely, or what? Was that just you just didn't want to do that?
I studied computer science in Boston and worked as a computer programmer in the multimedia industry, a real sort of burnout, working all the time industry, and I saved. And I do know that there are cruisers, and we've got this great interview with one of them on my channel. His name is Ben Stuckey. He lives aboard a Nonsuch, full-time, sailing the East Coast, and he is a full-time computer programmer, completely remotely. He does sit in his boat and write code 8 hours a day or more, and he needs to plan his little hops around his work schedule. So on the weekend or long weekend, that's when he makes a big, jump to the next place. So it's doable. There are people doing it. He really likes working remotely, and on his boat, he thinks that there's a lot of wasted time with having to commute to the office and sitting around the water cooler and things that get in the way of him being as productive as he can be. He actually thinks he's much more productive writing code, computer programming on his boat without distractions. Every once in a while he gets up and goes out into the cockpit and has this amazing view, and that's how he sort of decompresses from work. He says he's much more productive working remotely on his boat. He's been doing it for years. Myself, I don't know, I sort of got burnt out as a computer programmer. I wanted to do something different. I went to St. Martin. I lived at Anchor in Simpson Bay, right off of Kimshaw Beach, where there was this dive center. And originally I was thinking of getting into scuba diving because before that I had always spent forever scrubbing the hull of my boat before every voyage with snorkel gear. I'd dive down and scrub and scrub and scrub, and then come back for air, and then dive down and scrub and scrub and scrub, and it like took sometimes all day or even like a couple full days for me to scrub every inch of my hull before going offshore. And I thought, gee, wouldn't it be neat if I had scuba gear, if I knew how to do that? And kind of like sailing, I went to this dive center and they took me diving. I took a class, and it was the most amazing, wonderful thing I had ever seen. I fell in love with diving. I ended up taking all of the classes and becoming a dive master, which is the first professional level certification that you could get that enables me to work for a dive center. And I loved it. I loved scuba diving almost as much as sailing. And part of my thinking was that as we sail around the world, if I'm sort of if I have a dive master certification, that I can go to any dive center and say, hey, do you need a dive master? And they always need dive masters. The more dive masters they have, the more divers they get, paying divers they can take out. And I figured this would be great because not only would I get paid, but I'd also be able to go to all the greatest dive sites and have access to gear, and it really worked out great. I love it. For 6 whole months I lived at Anchor in St. Martin. Every day I'd get up, I'd get in the dinghy, I'd row a few hundred feet to the beach and drag the dinghy up onto the beach, and I'd be at work. And then we'd do like 4 dives, a full long day of diving. Exhausted by the end of the day, but loving it. Making very little money, but really enjoying the time. I lived at Anchor there in St. Martin and went diving 6 days a week, 3 to 4 dives a day, totally exhausted, totally loving it. I'd rather do something that makes a lot less money that I really love than something that can make a whole lot more money, but I don't enjoy as much at this point in my life, I think. But yeah, there are programmers that are doing it.